Okay, so Daisy sent me a text message saying that she's actually got held up in another meeting, and so she's asked me to share the info about kind of what the plan is to collaborate with the neighborhood. So when we get to that point on the agenda, I'll cover it. So since we know she's not joining us, why don't we get started if that's okay with everybody?
I'm
Um,
okay with it.
okay, hi, I'm Scott. I'm with City of Santa Ana's Office of Neighborhoods. And I just wanted to welcome all of you guys to actually our first virtual meeting for the Santa Anita neighborhood. Um, I'll just quickly do some quick introductions. You guys all know Felipe Guerrero and Martha Calderon, James Wallace. We've got resident Frank Adame on the line as well. Um, we've got our staff from the Parks Department, Enrique Marbon. Um, we have a couple of my colleagues, Margarita Macedonio and Alyssa Ventura on the call, Ron Ono from the Parks Department. And I'd like to provide an opportunity for your new council member elect to introduce herself if you'd like.
Sure. I wasn't intending to, but I'm just glad I got to be at this meeting and say hello to everyone. We're definitely still waiting for the counts, but so far it looks pretty good. I grew up on the west side. I went to Hazard Elementary, Heritage Elementary. Actually, I went to a lot of elementary schools before Fitz and then Los Amigos. So it's definitely my home. My mom still lives in the same house in the last 25 years or so. And I'm really committed to making sure that, our community, especially our youth and our young children have safe spaces and safe places to enjoy and be outside and have that space. So please let me know. I'm very accessible. I'll type my phone number into the chat as well as my personal email. And that way, if you have any questions or any comments or ideas, just let me know.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Frank Adame, did you want to introduce yourself to the group at all, or are you still on, Frank? Oh, I don't see him. Okay. Felipe, would you like to introduce Ron Ono from the Parks Department?
Would I like to introduce myself or?
No, would you like to introduce Ron? You want to introduce Ron Ono from the Parks Department?
Okay. Yes, thank you for being here. Thank you for joining us. Our first runner-up is Ron Ono of the Parks and Recs. And he has a presentation today.
Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate all of you joining this virtual meeting. I understand it's the first one. I hope we get through it really easy without any glitches. What I'm going to provide to you is a status of Santa Anita Park improvements. The synthetic turf project that's under design. In fact, design is completed. We're about ready to go out to bid, and then the parking lot expansion, which I'll explain as we go through the PowerPoint. Next page. As I indicated earlier, the purpose of this meeting is to discuss the expansion of an existing parking lot at Santa Anita Park, and I need to get your community input on the expanding of the lot, removal of a handball court, relocation of an existing basketball court, relocation of an existing play equipment, and installation of the parking and of the park and security lighting for the site. And the reason why we're making this presentation tonight is to provide parking for the new synthetic turf field.
Yeah, Ron, we had a meeting last week, the full board meeting, the Santa Anita Neighborhood Association. And yes, we are in agreement that we do need to expand the parking lot, and everything looks really good as far as moving everything around.
Great.
What we would like, yes, we agree, most definitely agree. I was wondering if there was any talk about expanding the parking lot out towards First or Harbor. Anything on that? I mean, that would be really great.
Yeah, and I agree with you. I've been trying to get the city to look into acquiring some of the property. I haven't gotten the green light to pursue that yet because of the the funding issues or the revenue issues in the city. But you know, there are grant opportunities. That's coming up. There are CDBG monies that's coming up. So there's other funding sources that could be used. Asking Public Works to just give me a cursory idea on what the property would cost, so I know a general idea on how much I should be asking for. And then once I get the green light, start negotiating, or maybe the city manager will start negotiating. Then we can go through and do a full-blown appraisal. So we have the actual numbers that we need to obtain the funding. We can't go through. I'm getting off the subject a little bit because of your question, but we can't go through a what's it called, eminent domain process to acquire the site. Because if we go through an eminent domain process to acquire the site, then we will not be eligible for any state grants. The state requires that we buy the property, any properties, through fair market value and from a willing seller. So that's the two hurdles we've got to cross in order to get state grant monies to develop the site. So
Wow.
So it's a process. You know, there's proposition money is coming up in March that we'll be applying for, but it's because we don't have a willing seller. We haven't even started negotiations. We don't know what the fair market value is. It's difficult to even apply for it at this point because that process is a long process. You know, so.
Ron, this is Scott, and I apologize for interrupting you. I wanted to ask Alyssa if she's able to magnify, you know, the aerial a little bit around where the handball courts are and the basketball courts and sort of that area, if it's possible. Alyssa, I'm not sure if it is possible to do that, but if it is, that'd be great. I also wanted to acknowledge that Jonathan Hernandez has joined the call as well. So Jonathan, welcome.
Thank you so much, Scott. It's always a pleasure to see you and to see Felipe and everyone else here virtually.
Yeah, hopefully you can see kind of who's here at the meeting. We did kind of introductions just a little while ago, but I just wanted to acknowledge you and thank you for joining our conversation.
Thank you. I see Martha, Ty. Hello, my colleague here. And no, I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, we've got James Wallace, resident James Wallace on the line as well.
Hello, James.
Hello. Felipe, Mr. Ron Ono, the park design manager, is kind of leading this conversation about the future of Santa Anita Park. Okay, absolutely. Ron, I apologize for interrupting you, but I just want to pass it back to you now.
Okay, that's okay. What Felipe was talking about is acquiring the property north of Santa Anita Park. It's about 2 acres if you look at that aerial. It's around, I think it's around 4 parcels, but I believe 3 of them are owned by the same owner. So at this, like I indicated earlier, at this point, we don't have a green light to acquire. So we need to get that first before we can start negotiating. And after that, we need to get an appraisal. We need to find out what the property value is, and it's got to be a willing seller. If he's not willing to sell, we shouldn't pursue it because we need him to be willing to sell in order to go for future grant monies to develop the site. Anyway, we went kind of off the subject a little bit, but let's just give you some history on possibly expanding the park site. We could also go to the west, which is all those parking lots. I mean, not lot, but cars. I don't know what it is, if it's a auto dealership or what it is, but towards Harbor Boulevard. But that is more expensive going towards Harbor Boulevard.
Felipe, is that a wrecking yard, or Martha, is that a wrecking yard there?
I don't know. I don't know what it is, but there are a lot of cars in there, a lot of cars and a lot of trucks.
Right.
I really don't know what it is.
Yeah, and it's going to be more expensive because you're going to have Harbor Boulevard as your frontage. So it'll be a lot more expensive than going north. Anyway, if there's no more questions on that, and like I say, we did go off the subject a little bit. I want to get back on what's happening at our park site, Santa Anita. I've already indicated that the whole purpose of this meeting is to look at possibly expanding the parking lot, and which causes a removal of some of the facilities that's that's existing on the site. Next page. Right now, as you know, we are currently going to develop a synthetic turf soccer field on the existing grass field. We have funding already. We have grant money, California Resources of about $1 million. We have park acquisition and development funds of $1.7 million. And we have CDBG money of a little under $1 million, totaling $3.6 million that we currently have available to change this grass field into a synthetic turf field. The only constraint we have, and it's not a major constraint, is that we need to spend the money and complete the project by June 30th, 2025, which will obviously beat that deadline. Next page. The synthetic turf improvements includes the field, concrete bleachers, concrete deck, concrete, drought tolerant landscaping, and security lighting. If you look at the image to the right, everything that is in color is what we are proposing to renovate and complete and repair in this grant project. Our schedule, plans are completed. We're ready to go out to bid in December. Hope to have a bid period in spring. Construction will start probably in spring to summer and complete by summer 2021. It's a fast track schedule, but we've had this money for a couple of years now, and we want to move forward and get it spent, especially CDBG money that we have.
Ron, this is Scott again, and I wanted to ask Alyssa if she can't perhaps magnify the little site plan that's on this slide so that we can see a little bit more of the detail, and maybe
Okay.
you can help us understand a little bit more about kind of what's being proposed. Thank you, Alyssa. Thank you so much.
As I indicated, the image that you see on the right, everything that's in color is what we are proposing to develop under this, what I call first phase. In the dark green color, everything in dark green color in the center will be a synthetic turf. The gray area around the synthetic turf is a wider sidewalk than what's existing now. We'll have concrete bleachers in the middle. The reason why we're widening the walkway is actually to create almost like 4 decks on the sides of the bleachers. And the reason for that is it gives the neighborhood, it gives the staff, it gives city opportunity to hold other types of concessions. Those decks will be large enough that you could actually install on there or the 10 by 10 pop tents for food concessions, or for swap meets, or for even additional deck space to look at the game, or farmers market area. Anything you can think of, we can develop on those decks. Even movie night could happen if need be. If you remember the site, the grass field is on a slope as you get to the sidewalk, as you get to the perimeter walkway. what we're proposing is actually going to be a retaining wall all around that field. So that field will be sunken about, I'd say about three feet. So that deck will be 3 feet above the synthetic turf. That's why I'm saying it could be concession stands or temporary concessions for the spectators. The olive color around that is all the drought tolerant planting. We won't have a lot of trees. We'll have a lot of low growing drought tolerant plant. And the reason why we won't have a lot of trees is because of the litter onto the synthetic turf. The synthetic.
Ron, I have a question.
Sure.
Do you know where you're saying that you're gonna do the bleachers?
Yes.
Behind the bleachers, you know, there's the walls to the neighborhood, to the houses. Do you know what's gonna happen or who's responsible for those walls? Would it be the park or would it be the city? Because some of the houses have wood, and that wood it's already falling off.
Yeah, I'm familiar with that. In fact, we're systematically replacing the wood with concrete block to match the existing block that's there because and we've actually patched a lot of those openings. I think there's a lot that's opened on the east side wall that we need to still repair. So it's the city responsibility. It's park's responsibility. It's a city wall. So as it starts deteriorating, we will start addressing it, you know, a little at a time.
Okay, yeah, because I'm one of those houses. The walls falling off. We had someone wondering like who would be responsible if we would have to go through you guys, or would it be like we fix it and then we take you guys the receive to the city?
No, it will be us. You just let us know,
Okay.
and then we'll schedule some repair. You know, because of the funding situation, we're taking it a little at a time and getting it repaired. So if the wall is still if the wood portion is still in good shape, we're pretty much leaving it alone. But if it's starting to fall apart or rot apart, then we'll go in there, take it out, and install block.
Okay, yeah, because it's myself and my neighbors. They're already falling off.
Okay, why don't you give Scott or Margarita your address, and so I know which lot is yours, and then we'll take a look at that section.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Are there any other questions? If not, I'll continue. The synthetic turf field obviously will increase programming on the field. We'll introduce not only soccer, but flag football game lines. And because of the increased parking, the attendance will increase towards Santa Anita Park. And as most of you already know, the parking is very, very limited. So that's the purpose of this presentation, is to get the community and the neighborhood input on expanding the parking lot. Next slide. Oh, you went too far. No, that's it. I'm sorry, that's it. Move my thing on the side. The new synthetic field the proposal is to expand the parking lot because of the new synthetic turf field, which means relocating the existing basketball court, removing the handball court, relocating the tot lot, renovating the security lighting, and installing entry walkway to the soccer field. On the right, you'll see that image. We actually will double the amount of parking.
Hey, Alyssa, I'm sorry, Ron, to interrupt you again. I really do apologize. Alyssa, can you try and enlarge that, magnify it a little bit? Yeah, there we go.
There you
Okay,
go.
thank you so much.
Perfect.
No.
So we'll be doubling the parking stalls. I can't read that, but I believe it's 20 stalls or something. I can't read what I wrote there. Anyway, as we expand the parking stalls to the east, if you remember, there were, in fact, the next slide will show the basketball court and the handball court. We're proposing to reconstruct the basketball court south of the handball court. Which will eliminate one of the lots. So we're proposing to reconstruct the top lot in an expanded top lot adjacent to the center, and proposing to expand the walkway from the parking lot to the soccer field. That's going to be the main entrance to the soccer field from the parking stalls, and we are proposing to line that with the palm trees to give it a grand entrance. The project is estimated to cost $1.1 million. Next. Okay, here you have the photo of the existing parking lot looking east. And you see the basketball court and the handball court. On the right, you see an expanded or close-up view of the basketball court and the handball court. Both the parking lot and the basketball court really needs renovation. You can the parking lot is falling apart. It needs to be resurfaced. So the timing to expand it and resurface existing as well as build a new one is timing is perfect. The basketball court, as you can see, is cracking in several locations. So we all need to renovate that court. So instead of renovating here in the existing location, we're proposing to build a new one, a new lighted basketball court south of the handball court. Next slide. This slide shows the basketball court. It shows the playground equipment just to the south. You can see the grass area. That's going to have to be also leveled. Into the right, you'll notice the grass area looking south from the basketball court to the top lot. Next slide. This photo shows the existing walkway to the soccer field between the two top lots. See how narrow it is? We're proposing to widen it, just like you see on the slide to the right. A wider walkway with palm trees, similar to what you see on the right. The basketball court will be on the left of that walkway, and the top lot will be to the right of that walkway. At this point, I can pause for any questions.
I have one, Ron. The fence that's currently surrounding or splitting the grass area right here with the field, it's an iron fence. Is that fence going to be removed?
I'm sorry, the fence?
Yeah, there's a fence that runs along from east to west that separates like the playground area from the field.
Yes, no, that fence will remain. But what we're proposing to do is actually move the gate to the east and widen the gate into the field. But the existing fence will still remain.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Thank you, Ron.
Any other questions?
Yeah, this is
Next slide.
Scott. This is Scott, and I just wanted to let people know that, yeah, you can either unmute your mic to ask a question. There's also the chat box that's available too if you wanted to type in a question. That's an option as well. Okay, I think if there aren't any other questions at this point, we'll go back to Ron.
Okay, next slide. Now, the rendering shows all the improvements. It shows the soccer field improvement. It shows what's being proposed, expanding the parking lot, the expansion of the tot lot, the wide walkway to the soccer field from the parking lot, and the new basketball court. We also will be installing new security lighting, and as I indicated earlier, the basketball court will also be lit, as well as the parking lot will be lit. Next
I have
slide.
a question. I
Sure.
have a question on the upgrade for the fencing on the north of the parking lot at the intersection of the east wall. Is there going to be an upgrade for the fencing with the industrial structural steel business there? The height appears to be what, 5-6 feet, and I would think it would be better if it was 6 or 7.
With this project, we weren't proposing to increase the height of that wall on north of the parking lot. The reason we're not proposing that is we are hoping to actually buy property, and if we do, then it's going to be money that's that we may tear down that wall anyway. So to expand the parking. The other thing, as Felipe knows, the existing community center is a small facility. It's old. It's probably 50 years old. To be renovated or reconstructed, and the idea is hopefully if we were able to buy property, we would construct a new community center on the site and expand the parking lot around it. And existing one is where the existing center is, we can change that to another use.
I see, but this $1 to $2 million project is probably going to be for the next 10 years or 20 years. A new center, is that a 20-year or a 10-year proposal?
The new center is, we don't have a time schedule for that. But if we go to the next page, the next steps, we're saying that if the community agrees to expand the parking lot, if you all agree to remove the handball court, if you all agree to relocate the basketball court and tot lot, we can move forward and start seeking grant monies or funding to do that by next month. But I need your approval before we even start. One thing that you
Ron,
should
and what I'm sorry, Ron. As far as the approval goes, exactly what do you need? Because like I said, we had a meeting last week and we all agreed, the board members agreed. Do we need to take it out to the public also?
No, that's why I'm having this meeting. That's why I'm having this meeting, to get whoever's on this meeting to agree to this. And I'm glad your association also approved it. We can indicate that, and then we can move forward and try to seek grant money to do that. If we are able to seek grant money by December, we were hoping to start preparing plans by March, and then period by summer, and then for construction. My goal is to actually construct the parking lot before or after we complete the synthetic turf field. Because as soon as we finish the synthetic turf field, you know it's going to generate more traffic to the park, and you won't have sufficient parking to accommodate that additional traffic. So that that parking lot's going to the expanded parking lot's going to really help to provide the sufficient parking for that soccer field.
I see.
Next slide. This concludes the presentation. I think we got a lot of questions answered, but if you have any more, I'm willing to answer any additional questions you may have. on the project. I'm glad that the association already approved the expansion of the parking lot, so that's a good plus. But I wanted to make this presentation to all of you and whoever else that may not have been part of your meeting to voice concerns.
My concern is timeline on the completion of the project. If we're gonna do it, let's do it and give some incentives for completing it in a timely manner and not just take our time with it.
And I agree with you. And once we get the money, we will fast track it. And it's the reason why we need to fast track it because soccer field schedule. And like I said earlier, we would like to be under construction parking lot either before or right after we complete the synthetic turf field.
Is there a date on the synthetic turf field that I missed it or I don't?
It was summer of 2021.
I see. And what is the expedited schedule that you perceive for the parking lot?
The parking lot, I perceive that we will go out to bid in summer of 2020. That's provided all the bullets come in order. If we get the money, we can start preparing plans. Like we don't have the funding, obviously that schedule is going to move. But being optimistic, if we have the funding, we prepare plans right away. We go out to bid right about the time the synthetic turf is getting completed, and we'll be on the construction right after that project is done.
I see. Well, the money that you indicated on the first slide, the DPG money would be enough to start that, wouldn't it?
On the first slide, all those monies identified were all identified for the synthetic turf field. Now, if there's any money left over after we finish construction of the synthetic turf field, obviously we want to reprogram that money to the parking lot. But if there aren't any money left over, I would have to find at least $1.1 million worth of monies to do the parking lot. And not only the parking lot, it's the parking lot expansion, it's the new basketball court, it's the new top lot, and it's the new walkway to the field, and the security lights. So that's all those improvements come up to about $1.1 million. Now, we just got word that the next round of CDBG money is coming around for discussion. So obviously, we will try to get as much of that money as we can for this project.
I see.
Any other
questions? That's all the questions I have.
This is
Thank
Scott, and I just want everybody to know that we entered Ron Ono's email address in the chat. So to the extent that you'd like to follow up with Ron about any questions you have after tonight, feel free to do that.
All right.
If there aren't any other questions regarding the proposal for the improvements to the park, Felipe, we'll go back to you regarding the discussion about the Christmas event for kids this year.
Before we do that, is there a way I can get something from the association indicating that in writing that they've approved the expansion of the parking lot and the improvements I just presented tonight, so that we have some documentation that we can move forward and start requesting funding or looking for funding?
Would you like that in like an email or like a letterhead or?
I'd like it in a letterhead if you can, if you have a letterhead from the association saying that, you know, we heard your presentation, we voted on it, and, you know, we agree with expanding the lot, we agree with removal of the handball court, and we agree with relocation of the basketball court and top lot, and that way, you know, those 3 bullets you see on the slide right now, that way I can start moving forward and start seeking grant money or funding.
Okay. All right.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, Ron.
Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Ono, thank you very much. So we're gonna pass it back to Felipe Guerrero and Martha Calderon with the Santa Anita neighborhood. Do you guys want to kick off the discussion regarding the neighborhood's tradition for having like a holiday event for kids each year?
Yeah, this year, due to COVID, we're changing, or we have it at Santa Anita Park, and this year we're moving it over to Campesino Park because it's wider, it's more open. We're looking at a walkthrough instead of a drive-through. The original plans was to have a drive-through, handing out presents as they drove through. But it looked a little bit more difficult than we thought. The city has jumped aboard, helping us with logistics on traffic and police department on traffic control. And they're also going to be helping us out with toys this year. And it's just a matter of sitting down with them again with, what's her name again, Scott?
So Felipe, I think you've had discussions with Daisy Perez,
Yeah, Daisy.
From our city manager's office.
Yes, we met on Friday, this past Friday. There was a COVID testing going on out there, but we did meet, we did discuss it. She's in agreement, and she wants to provide all the help that we need. So it's just a matter of planning it between now and the event. We're looking at December 11th, probably from noon to about maybe 6:00 p.m.
Yeah, so this is Scott, and my colleague Margarita Macedonio is on the line as well. And so many of you are familiar with her, and we do very similar work, sort of just in different parts of town. I think that the idea this year with regard to, just for Jonathan and for Ty's benefit, the idea this year was to have a Christmas event as part of the COVID Cares outreach in each of our council wards in the month of December. And so what's been proposed, this is very, very fresh. And so I apologize if you're hearing this for the first time. You'll probably hear more about it sort of over the coming weeks. But we're looking at having an event on Friday, the 11th of December at Campesino Park, followed by an event on Saturday, the 12th of December at Jerome Park, followed by an event on Sunday, the 13th of December over at the Tennis Center over by Mayberry Park and Cabrillo. And then the next weekend, we'll do 3 additional events also in, distinct council ward areas, so that on the 18th, we'll do an event over at Memorial Park. On the 19th, we'll do an event over at Mariposa Park. And on the 20th, Sunday the 20th, we'll do an event over at Madison Park. And so we're anticipating, and the neighborhood has been receptive to this, but we're anticipating kind of melding a COVID Cares event with a toy distribution event for kids. And we'll probably use Eventbrite as the platform for purposes of people reserving times when they and their families can walk to the park and participate. So people will be spread out and there won't be this convergence of everybody at the same time. We're anticipating being able to, provide the celebration for about 250 kids per event is what we're looking at. And so my understanding, since Enrique, our colleague Enrique Marbon is on the line, our understanding is that the city manager's office will be taking care of processing the event approvals and things like that. So the neighborhood, the Santa Anita neighborhood will not be submitting a separate request for an event approval and won't be requesting separate, liability insurance and going through the approval with the fire authority and that whole process. The city of Santa Ana will take responsibility for the overall coordination of the event this year. In past years, our Santa Anita neighborhood and lots of other our neighborhoods have taken lead responsibility for planning their events and have done phenomenal jobs. But obviously this year, our constraints and our challenges are just, we just never would have anticipated the challenges we have this year. And so that's the reason why the city is just sort of playing a little bit of a bigger role.
Scott, I wanted to add something to that. So for the Santa Anita team, I'm involved in the CARES team with the different city department representatives. And it's so important. We just wanted to emphasize the importance of, making sure that our families are connecting to the CARES events, because we will be able to continue to offer the free testing and the resource guides because there is such a need in our community to get access, to get access to the testing, access to a lot of the funds that we want to try to use up, and so to the extent, you can continue to do a successful job, reaching out to the community about the testing. I think we can't emphasize that enough as a community. Thank you.
Scott, can you repeat those dates again?
Yes.
And location?
I apologize. I'll go more slowly this time. Sorry about that. So we're starting on Friday, the 11th of December. And that particular event will be at Campesino Park, Cesar Chavez Campesino Park in Santa Anita. We'll have full participation from the Santa Ana Police Department so that pedestrians will have no difficulty getting across 5th Street, which we know is a very is a street where traffic moves very quickly and with a high volume and stuff. And so we'll be thinking through the pedestrian access sort of necessity associated with 5th Street for that event as well. The next event will be on Saturday, the 12th of December at Jerome Park. On the 13th of December, which is a Sunday, we'll be over at the tennis center over by Cabrillo Park and Mayberry Park in that area. So that week we're doing an event on a Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, essentially one in each council ward. And then we'll do the same thing the following weekend. So it'll be Friday, the 18th at Memorial Park. That's where the event will be. Saturday, the 19th at Mariposa Park, which is in the Lacey neighborhood, like in the Station District. It's one of our newest parks. I'm sure each of you are familiar with it. And then the final event would be on Sunday, the 20th, over at Madison Park.
Thank you.
And that's kind of and so our colleague, Daisy Perez with the city manager's office is going to be the lead with regard to kind of coordinating these events. And she apologizes, that she got tied up on a meeting and wasn't able to present this information herself tonight. But we will be, Margarita and Alyssa and I will be reaching out to the leadership of the various neighborhoods where these events will be offered. So that we can collaborate with them and be in sync with them moving forward. So this is sort of the, again, we just learned of this strategy just a few hours ago. So this is very fresh information. You'll be hearing more about it sort of as we move forward. Our staff will move relatively rapidly though with the planning because we don't have a lot of time. You're talking about in excess of 1,500 children participating in all these six events. So it's a lot of toys, you know, that we're going to be gathering as an example. As Margarita mentioned, our COVID ambassadors and our teams associated with COVID cares will be available to assist us in facilitating these events. So again, we won't need to rely on volunteers, you know, from these various neighborhoods to kind of help us with these events because of the extenuating circumstances this particular year.
Is there a title for this event? Is there a name?
No, I'm not aware of a special name for it.
Yeah.
It'll be the 2020 neighborhood Christmas events or something,
Okay.
you know. And I think in acknowledgement that we have a new council ward system and we have council members representing specific geographic areas now in a new way. Sort of in recognition of that, I think that the city manager's office was interested in having an event in each council ward. Any other thoughts? Any other thoughts, James?
I have a thought with the Eventbrite doing this giveaway. Is it Spark of Life or Toys for Tots? What organizations are going to do it other than
So
the
we're going to
city?
use, thank you, James. So we're going to use Eventbrite as like a reservation, you know, kind of system for people to reserve a time for their children to participate and to have a ticket, essentially. So it'll be a little bit structured, and we'll be able to maintain social distancing in this time.
Okay.
With regard to the toys, basically the Santa Ana Police Department, Santa Ana city employees, and a number of major employers and some industries basically in the city are going to help us underwrite the toy drives that are necessary to kind of put this event together this year. That's my understanding.
I see.
So yeah, I don't think it's going to be specifically a Toys for Tots kind of thing. Wonderful organization for sure, but for this particular event, I think we're just taking a different approach.
Yeah.
James.
Spark of Love is one of the firefighter things, and you know, Channel 7 always does something. I forget what.
Yeah. And I just wanted to again, you know, Ty or Jonathan, if there's anything you wanted to contribute at this point in the discussion, you know, it's wide open at this point. I think the only other item we have on our agenda, Felipe and Martha, was just like a Q&A to the extent that people have any questions about things going on in the neighborhood.
I think one of the main reasons that I joined this meeting is to meet our new Ward 1 woman. And I hear that Mr. Adami was on. I don't think I've ever met him during the election process or Ms. Pham either. So that's why I'm here, mainly. But
Thank
it's
you.
good to hear about the new project.
Okay.
For the park.
Thank you, James.
Well, James, I put my personal cell phone number and email in the group chat. Love to talk to you one-on-one about any of the issues, or if you have any questions. You know, actually, one of the questions I did have, and maybe Felipe, you would have an answer, is, I guess now, Supervisor Doe, are they still doing the turkey giveaway again this year?
No, not that I'm aware of. I spoke to Ophelia last week. As a matter of fact, we spoke a couple of weeks ago trying to get that going. But some of the people that were donating to turkeys, I guess, fell behind in some way or another. So no, it won't be happening this year. But we are looking at giving away ham, if it's possible, on Christmas Eve. That's one of the things that I need to discuss with Scott on that.
Okay. Well, you have my phone number now, and let's see if there's something we can do about that. I remember last year when I came, all the turkeys were gone. I mean, I wasn't trying to get one, but that was really awesome.
I was there that day too, and I got a turkey. It was nice to see Councilman Supervisor Doe. I think I met him at that location.
I don't have the patience to cook a turkey, so but yeah, this was really helpful, and I'm actually really excited about the toy drive. I'm actually on the board for the Heritage Museum of Orange County also, and we're working on doing some type of historical Wintersburg situation, and I'll let you know if that pans out. But I'd love to also find a way for the city to work more with the Heritage Museum, because that is a space that is open for education and learning, and it's really accessible to students. It's right off Fairview, and basically Fairview and Warner. It's Harvard, but it's just really close, and it's an easy trek for students to come learn and whatnot. And there's a lot of open space there too. So, future thoughts. But yeah, James, give me a call.
All right.
Thank you, Ty. Can everyone hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I had been talking for the last 3 times, and I just my sincerest apologies. I had my Bluetooth in, and we might have had some technical difficulties there. But I wanted to introduce myself to some of the residents here. My name is Jonathan Ryan Hernandez, and I will be representing Ward 5. So we are neighbors, and I've done a lot of great work with Martha and Felipe in the past. And I'm here to support you guys. You guys have an amazing councilwoman in Ty. And I plan on working very closely with Ty to also help your neighborhood, because a lot of our neighborhoods intersect. And I want to share that if anyone needs assistance with Christmas trees, I do have a very good relationship with the tree farm that has already assisted us with getting some trees to families. So if anyone is in need of that, I'll go ahead and leave my phone number here at the bottom. And same goes for Utah. If you have any residents that reach out, I'm going to do everything that I can to get as many trees to our residents as possible, especially the residents that need it. So let's be mindful of that. But I'll go ahead and leave my number in the chat.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you so much, Jonathan. Thank you, Ty. Mr. Enrique Marbon, anything you want to share with the group from the Parks Department?
Sorry, I needed to unmute myself. No, I'm excited about the Christmas celebration like always, and also the opportunity to work with Felipe regarding any Christmas ham giveaways. Obviously, I'm super excited. I don't live too far from Santa Anita myself. About the new synthetic turf field coming in soon, and obviously the great plans for the parking lot renovation and that area. So I'm super excited, which will bring more people to the center. Obviously, I am hoping that the Santa Anita Center, as well as other centers, open up sometime soon, as soon as this COVID-19 situation is better resolved, or as we move forward. But thank you for the opportunity.
You're welcome. Martha, any thoughts in closing? We're getting kind of towards, I think we're probably gonna pretty much wrap up. We're about an hour into our conversation. I just wanted to double back with you, Martha, to see if there's any closing thoughts you have. You're on mute right now, though.
Yeah, no, everything's good. If you Jonathan has my information. I have the new city council's number, so if we have any concerns, we can just text each other.
Okay, excellent. And Martha, I've provided Mr. Ono with your address,
Okay.
so he can follow up with you regarding the fence, the concerns
Okay.
you raised regarding fencing. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
I had a question, Scott. With this Christmas event, are we gonna make it like Christmassy, like with like Jonathan said about trees and maybe a little decorations here and there, maybe some candy canes all over the place? Is something to give it that spirit, or is it going to be more like just walk through and get your toys and out? Because I prefer to have the music going, maybe to give that little, especially in these times, give it a little, Christmas feeling. Would that be fine with you guys?
A
Of
winter
course.
wonderland. I'm so
That's a
down.
great idea.
Yeah, I think that I think Margarita and I talked about this briefly this afternoon. Our sense is that each neighborhood is going to want to customize their event a little bit and have something to say about the design of their event. And so we're here to work with you and with the city manager's office to try and to figure that out. So I know you guys are very creative and resourceful. You've put on fantastic, wonderful events many, many times in the past. And so I'm sure we can figure something out moving forward for this year for sure.
Okay, great. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, if there aren't any other comments or observations, again, I just really want to thank everybody for joining us tonight for the past hour. Special thanks to Mr. Ron Ono for the presentation. You've got Ron's contact info to the extent that you have any other questions and want to check in with him. And we'll extend an invitation for him to come back in the future too and kind of provide updates periodically on kind of things, on where things are at. And so thank you again to everyone and congratulations to Felipe and his family on your new grandchildren. That's spectacular, a real blessing. So a wonderful, special holiday season for you and your family, your daughter and your son-in-law. Congratulations on twins.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Yes. And with that, I think that we'll conclude this meeting. Thank you very much, everyone. And
all right. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Good night.
Right.
Bye-bye.
Good night. Good night.
Good night.